Have you ever felt lost, hopeless, and wished for something unexpected to change everything? In this story, you'll meet Max, a stray dog who found an abandoned baby in the trash and, with a courageous act, saved the child's life and brought them to a safe home. If you believe that small actions can transform lives, this story is for you. Get ready to be inspired by the power of empathy and the heroism in the simplest gestures. And remember, hope might be just a step or a paw away. It was a cold morning in a small town where the streets were quiet and the air was biting. Max, a light brown stray dog with intelligent eyes, was scavenging through trash cans in search of something to eat. His life on the streets had made him clever and resilient, but cold mornings like this one were especially difficult. Max was passing through a narrow alley where a row of trash cans was lined up against a brick wall. The wind whistled between the buildings, and Max shivered as he rummaged through the garbage bags. Suddenly, he stopped. A faint, almost inaudible sound caught his attention. Max tilted his head, his pointed ears moving to better catch the sound. It was a weak, continuous cry. With his heart racing, Max followed the sound to a specific trash can. He stood on his hind legs and poked his nose over the top of the can. Inside, among the garbage bags and refuse, was a baby. The baby was wrapped in a dirty blanket, with fine blonde hair sticking to its forehead and blue eyes filled with tears. Max watched for a moment, almost unable to believe what he was seeing. Instinctively, Max knew he had to act. He carefully grabbed the edge of the blanket with his teeth and, with considerable effort, pulled the baby out of the trash can. The baby cried louder now, and Max knew he needed to find help quickly. He looked around and began running through the streets, the baby safely wrapped in the blanket he held in his teeth. Max ran several blocks, his paws moving quickly over the cold asphalt. The baby's weight was considerable, but Max did not give up. He avoided busy streets, instinctively knowing that traffic could be dangerous. At one point, while crossing a deserted street, Max heard the sound of an approaching car. He looked both ways and sped up, reaching the sidewalk safely with the baby still securely held. The biting wind made the baby cry louder, but Max did not stop. He ran through an empty park, his paws sinking into the wet grass. At one point, he had to jump over a small fence, using all his effort to ensure the baby was not hurt in the maneuver. When his muscles began to ache, he found a temporary refuge under a tree, where he rested for a moment and made sure the baby was safe and warm. After a brief pause, Max continued his journey. He knew exactly where he was going. The Johnsons' house, the family who always offered him food and affection. They would understand the gravity of the situation and help the baby. Max redoubled his efforts, feeling the urgency of the situation. Finally, that familiar house appeared in the distance, with its white fence and well-kept garden. The woman was in the garden, tending to the flowers when she saw Max approaching with the large bundle in his mouth. She frowned in confusion, but as Max got closer, her expression turned to astonishment. Sarah was in shock when she realized what Max had brought. With her heart racing, she knelt and carefully took the baby from Max's teeth. The small body was shivering with cold, and the blue eyes were still full of tears. "My God, Max, what have you found?" Sarah murmured as she wrapped the baby in her coat to warm him. She looked around as if expecting someone to appear and explain the situation, but the street was deserted. Sarah knew she had to act quickly. With the baby firmly in her arms, she ran into the house, followed closely by Max, who stopped at the doorstep, watching intently. Inside the house, Sarah laid the baby on the living room sofa and ran to get a warm blanket. Max stayed outside, sitting on the doorstep, watching the door with concern. Sarah covered the baby with the blanket and tried to soothe him by gently rocking him and whispering comforting words. "Stay calm, little one. It's okay now. You're safe." Sarah's hands trembled as she picked up the phone and dialed Michael's number. She knew he was at work but needed him there. "Michael, you need to come home now. It's urgent," Sarah said, her voice trembling. "What happened, Sarah? Are you okay?" Michael asked, concerned. "I'm fine, but Max found a baby in the trash. I'm here at home with him. I don't know what to do," Sarah explained quickly. "I'm coming home right now." "Don't do anything until I get there," Michael replied. Already rushing out of work, Sarah hung up the phone and returned to the sofa, where the baby was beginning to calm down. She looked out the window and saw that Max was still there, as if guarding the house. "You did a good job, Max. Now we need to make sure he's okay," Sarah said to herself as she caressed the baby's head. Time seemed to drag as Sarah waited for Michael to arrive. She continued to care for the baby, gently cleaning his dirty face and making sure he was comfortable. Finally, the front door opened and Michael rushed in. He looked at Sarah and the baby, trying to understand the situation. "Sarah, what's going on?" Michael asked, kneeling beside her. "Max found this baby in the trash. He was crying and shivering with cold. I didn't know what to do, so I called you," Sarah explained, tears in her eyes. Michael nodded, trying to stay calm. "Let's call the police and take him to the hospital. We need to make sure he's okay." Michael picked up the phone and dialed the police, reporting what had happened. While they waited for the authorities to arrive, Sarah and Michael continued to care for the baby, providing all the comfort they could. The police arrived quickly, accompanied by a social worker. They asked questions and began documenting the case as Michael and Sarah explained everything they knew. Max stood in front of the house, watching every move and making sure the baby was safe. "We'll take the baby to the hospital for a full checkup," the social worker said, carefully taking the baby. Sarah and Michael followed closely. At the hospital, doctors and nurses examined the baby, checking his health. Fortunately, despite being dirty and cold, the baby was healthy. "You've done a great job taking care of him so far," one of the nurses told Sarah and Michael. "He's going to be fine." The social worker approached again. "Are you willing to care for the baby temporarily while we investigate the situation?" Sarah and Michael exchanged a look and, without hesitation, answered together, "Yes, of course. We'll do whatever it takes to care for him." In the days that followed, the baby, who now had a temporary home with the Johnsons, began to adapt. Sarah and Michael cared for him with all the affection while Max stayed close to the house. Instinctively, he had taken on the responsibility of caring for the child. Little Emily, the couple's daughter, was delighted with the new family member and helped them care for the baby as best she could. In the days following the baby's rescue, the Johnson family faced a series of challenges and decisions. The police and social services were dedicated to discovering the baby's identity and tracking down his mother, but every lead led to a dead end. There were no missing person reports that matched the baby, and the possibility of abandonment became increasingly evident. Meanwhile, Max remained faithfully on the Johnsons' doorstep, refusing to leave. He stayed vigilant, always keeping an eye on the house and ready to protect the baby. Touched by Max's loyalty and courage, Sarah and Michael decided it was time to do something for him. "Michael, Max doesn't leave the house. He's a hero and deserves a home too," Sarah said, looking at the dog through the window. "I agree. He has shown to be a faithful and courageous dog. Let's bring him inside and adopt him," Michael replied, nodding firmly. They opened the door and called Max, who hesitated for a moment before entering the house. Sarah and Michael welcomed him with affection, giving him a warm bath and a comfortable place to sleep. Max, finally inside the house, seemed to understand that he was now part of the family. Meanwhile, the social worker continued her regular visits, keeping informed about the baby's progress and the investigations. One afternoon, she arrived with the news that there was still no information about the baby's mother. "Unfortunately, we haven't been able to find the mother or any relatives of the baby. It looks like it was a case of abandonment," the social worker said with a sad look. Sarah and Michael exchanged a significant look. They had already discussed the possibility of adoption and knew this was the opportunity to give the baby a loving home. "If possible, we'd like to keep him," Sarah said, holding Michael's hand. The social worker looked at them attentively. "Are you really willing to take care of him and assume all the responsibilities?" "Yes, we want to adopt him and give him a home," Michael confirmed. The social worker smiled. "In that case, we can leave him with you temporarily while we handle the necessary paperwork for the adoption process. You'll need to go through some interviews and home visits, but I believe it will be possible." Sarah's eyes filled with tears of joy. "Thank you. We'll do everything necessary." Life at the Johnsons' house began to adjust to the presence of the baby. Sarah and Michael cared for him with all the affection, while Emily adored her new little brother and spent hours helping to care for him. Max, now part of the family, continued to be the faithful guardian of the baby, always by his side. The bond between the baby and the Johnson family quickly strengthened. Each day, the baby felt safer and more loved, and the family felt more complete. The house was filled with laughter and joy, and everyone knew that somehow Max had brought a miracle into their lives. With the decision made to adopt the baby, the Johnson family began to prepare for the long adoption process. They decided to give the baby a name that signified a new beginning for all of them: Adam. Sarah and Michael dedicated themselves to ensuring Adam felt loved and secure in his new home. Interviews and home visits began quickly. The social worker, Mrs. Thompson, visited the Johnsons' home regularly, evaluating every detail and observing the interaction between Adam and the family. Sarah and Michael were determined to show they could offer Adam a stable and loving home. "You've been amazing with Adam," Mrs. Thompson said during a visit. "He seems very happy here. We want him to know he's loved and will always have a home with us," Sarah replied, gently caressing Adam's head as he played on the floor with Emily and Max. Max, now officially part of the family, continued to be Adam's faithful guardian. He never strayed far from the baby and seemed to understand the importance of his role in the child's life. Emily was also delighted with her new little brother, helping to care for him and ensuring he was always surrounded by affection. Weeks turned into months as the Johnson family went through various evaluations. Each visit and interview was an opportunity to demonstrate their commitment and love for Adam. Sarah and Michael worked as a team, ensuring all of Adam's needs were met. During one of the visits, Mrs. Thompson observed the interaction between Adam and Max. The dog seemed to understand his responsibility, always by the baby's side, protecting and playing with him. "Max is truly incredible," Mrs. Thompson said, smiling. "He plays a crucial role in Adam's life." "Yes, he is a real hero," Michael agreed. "I don't know what we would have done without him." As the adoption process progressed, the Johnson family faced some challenges. The home visits required them to always be prepared and to keep the house in order. There was also the emotional aspect of dealing with uncertainty and the anxiety of knowing if they would be approved for the adoption. But each obstacle was overcome with determination and love. The Johnson family was united in their desire to give Adam a permanent home. They knew the struggle was worth it, as each of Adam's smiles and every happy moment shared with him strengthened their commitment. Finally, the day of the court hearing arrived. Sarah, Michael, and Emily were all present. The hearing was the final step to formalize Adam's adoption. They were nervous but confident that they had done everything they could to show they were the right family for Adam. The judge, a middle-aged man with a serious expression, examined all the documents and listened to the testimonies of Mrs. Thompson and others involved in the case. He looked at the Johnson family, observing the way they behaved and interacted with Adam. "Mr. and Mrs. Johnson," the judge finally said, "you have demonstrated an exemplary commitment to Adam's well-being. It is clear that he has found a loving and safe home with you. Therefore, it is with great satisfaction that I approve the adoption of Adam Johnson." Tears streamed down Sarah and Michael's faces as they hugged Adam. Emily clapped, feeling happy and relieved. As they left the courthouse, there was an atmosphere of celebration and gratitude. "Welcome officially to the family, Adam," Sarah whispered, holding her son in her arms. When they arrived home, Max was waiting on the doorstep as usual. He wagged his tail when he saw the family approaching and seemed to understand the importance of the moment. Michael knelt beside Max and petted his head. "You are also part of the family, Max." "Thank you for bringing us Adam," Michael said with a smile. Life at the Johnsons' house began to adjust to the permanent presence of Adam. Sarah and Michael cared for him with all the affection, while Emily adored her new little brother and spent hours helping to care for him. Max, now an official part of the family, continued to be the faithful guardian of the baby, always by his side. The bond between Adam and the Johnson family quickly strengthened. Each day, Adam felt safer and more loved, and the family felt more complete. The house was filled with laughter and joy, and everyone knew that somehow Max had brought a miracle into their lives. Max and Adam's story quickly spread through the small town, and soon the local media began covering the case. Reporters and cameras showed up at the Johnsons' house to interview the family and tell the incredible story of the stray dog who saved a baby. Sarah and Michael, initially reluctant to appear in the media, realized the importance of sharing their story. They wanted to highlight Max's heroic role and how he had changed their lives forever. Additionally, they wanted to encourage animal adoption and emphasize the importance of always being attentive to the needs of others, whether human or animal. "It was a moment we'll never forget," Sarah said during one of the interviews, holding Adam in her lap. "Max showed up at our door with this little miracle, and since then, our lives have changed completely." Michael added, "Max is a true hero. He found Adam, brought him to us, and stayed by his side the entire time. We couldn't be more grateful to have him in our lives." Reporters also interviewed Emily, who was radiant with joy. "I love Adam and Max. They are my brothers now," she said, smiling at the cameras. The story gained traction and touched the hearts of many people in the town and beyond. Max, who had once been a simple stray dog, became a local celebrity. His bravery and loyalty were recognized not only by the Johnson family but by the entire community. In a special ceremony organized by the town hall, Max was awarded a Medal of Bravery, a recognition usually reserved for police dogs. The town's mayor presented the medal, highlighting Max's courage and selfless spirit. "We are here to honor Max, who with his act of bravery reminded us of the importance of caring for each other, regardless of our species. Max, you are a hero, and we are very proud to have you in our community," said the mayor during the ceremony. Sarah, Michael, and Emily were present, clapping emotionally as Max received his medal. Social worker Mrs. Thompson was also there, visibly moved by the ceremony. After the ceremony, many neighbors and friends came to the Johnsons' house to congratulate them and offer support. The house was filled with laughter and joy, and everyone wanted to meet Max and Adam, the little miracle he had saved. "This recognition is more than deserved," said a neighbor. "Max showed that animals can be as heroic as any human." The local attention brought a new light to the Johnsons' lives. They received numerous messages of support and gifts for Adam and Max. The community was united around the story, and everyone felt inspired by Max's act of bravery. With Adam's adoption officially concluded, life at the Johnsons' house entered a new and happy rhythm. Each family member adjusted to the new dynamic with Adam's presence and Max, the heroic dog who was now a beloved member of the family. Sarah and Michael cared for Adam with all the affection, while Emily helped with lighter tasks like playing with Adam and Max in the yard. Max, now an official hero and inseparable member of the family, never strayed far from Adam, always ready to protect and play. To celebrate Adam's adoption and honor Max's bravery, the Johnson family decided to organize a party. They invited friends, neighbors, and everyone who had supported their journey. The house was decorated with balloons and colorful banners, and the table was filled with delicious food. "This party is to celebrate our family and the community that supported us," Sarah said to the guests. "We are very grateful to have all of you in our lives." During the party, there was a special moment dedicated to Max. Sarah and Michael gave an emotional speech about how Max had changed their lives and presented the bravery medal he had received. "Max is more than a dog to us. He is a hero and an essential member of our family. This medal is a small symbol of our gratitude and love for him," Michael said, holding the medal as Max wagged his tail happily. The party continued with games, laughter, and lots of joy. Adam was the center of attention, surrounded by the love of his new family and friends. He seemed to understand that he was safe and loved, smiling at everyone who approached him. In the days that followed, life continued to adjust to Adam's permanent presence. Sarah and Michael felt blessed to have such a wonderful son, and Emily loved being the older sister. Max continued to play his role as a faithful guardian, always by Adam's side. One morning, while Michael was preparing breakfast, Emily came running into the kitchen, followed by Max and Adam. "Daddy, look! Adam is trying to walk!" she exclaimed excitedly. Michael ran to the living room, where Sarah was already on her knees, encouraging Adam to take his first steps. With Max by his side, Adam stood up, took a few unsteady steps, and fell again, laughing all the while. "Come on, Adam. You can do it," Sarah encouraged with a radiant smile. Adam stood up again, holding onto Sarah's hands and taking a few more steps while Max watched attentively, ready to intervene if necessary. The Johnsons' house was filled with laughter and joy. Each day brought new achievements and special moments, further strengthening family bonds. They knew they would face challenges in the future, but they were ready to face them together as a family. And every time they looked at Max and Adam, they remembered that miracles could happen in unexpected ways. Max, the four-legged hero, had brought a miracle into their lives, and for that, they would be eternally grateful. For years had passed since Max found Adam in the trash and brought him to the Johnsons' house. Max was now older, with a graying muzzle, but he remained healthy and as faithful as ever. Adam, for his part, was growing up surrounded by love and protection, developing into a cheerful and curious boy. One sunny afternoon, Adam was playing in the yard with Emily and Max. Their laughter filled the air as they ran back and forth. Max, despite his age, still kept up with the children enthusiastically, always vigilant. Adam ran over to his mother, who was sitting on the porch watching the games. He climbed into her lap and asked with his big, bright eyes, "Mommy, can you tell the story of how I was born again?" Sarah smiled and hugged Adam, placing him on her lap. "Of course, my love. It's a very special story." She began to tell the story in a playful and fun way, as she always did. "Most babies are delivered by storks," Sarah began, looking at Adam with affection. "But you, Adam, Max fetched you himself?" Adam laughed, loving the idea. "Max brought me as a gift?" "Yes, exactly," Sarah replied, stroking her son's hair. It was a cold morning and Max, our four-legged hero, was rummaging through the trash cans in search of food. Suddenly, he heard a faint cry coming from a trash can. Max, being the brave dog he is, went to investigate and found you wrapped in a blanket. Adam's eyes widened with curiosity. "And what did he do?" "Max knew he needed to find help quickly," Sarah continued. "He carefully picked you up by the blanket and started running through the streets. He faced many challenges along the way. He had to cross busy streets, jump fences, and even rest a bit to make sure you were safe. Finally, he brought you to our house." Adam laughed and looked at Max, who was lying next to them as if he understood every word. "You really are a hero, Max." Sarah laughed and continued the story. "When Max arrived here, I was in the garden and was shocked to see him with you. We quickly brought you inside and took care of you, called the police, and took you to the hospital. And so began our journey together." Adam loved this story and never tired of hearing it. For him, it was a great adventure in which Max was the hero who brought him home. Over the years, Adam developed wonderfully. He was a healthy and active boy, always curious about the world around him. He loved reading books, especially stories of adventures and heroes. He was also very good in school and made friends easily thanks to his friendly and caring spirit. Adam had a special connection with Max, and the two were inseparable. Emily, now 11, helped take care of Adam and felt proud to be the older sister. She and Adam spent hours playing in the yard, inventing games and stories, always accompanied by Max. One night, while the family was gathered in the living room, Adam brought a photo album and asked to see the pictures of the day Max brought him home. Sarah opened the album and began to show the photos. "Here you are on the first day, all wrapped in the blanket. And here is Max, our hero, looking at you with so much concern and love." Michael, sitting next to them, smiled. "Those were the best days of our lives. And we are so happy to have Max and you with us." Max, lying next to Adam, wagged his tail as if he understood the importance of the moment. Adam leaned in and hugged the dog. "Thank you for bringing me home, Max," Adam said with touching sincerity. Max licked Adam's face, and everyone laughed. They knew that each day with Max was precious and made sure to cherish every moment. The Johnson family was closer than ever, living each day with gratitude and love. They knew that the time with Max was precious and made sure to create memories that would last forever. And so, with Max by their side and Adam growing and developing wonderfully, the Johnson family continued to live the legacy of love and courage that began with a stray dog who found a baby in the trash and changed their lives forever. Years passed, and Adam continued to grow up surrounded by the love and support of his family. He became a healthy and happy young man, always accompanied by Chance, the new puppy who inherited Max's bravery and loyalty. Max, who had aged over the years, became slower, but his spirit and love for the family never waned. He continued to accompany Adam and Emily in their games and was a constant companion for Sarah and Michael. One quiet morning, Max, now with a completely graying muzzle and slow steps, lay down in the sun in the yard. Adam, now a young boy of 10, approached and sat beside him, gently stroking his head. "Are you okay, Max?" Adam asked, his voice full of affection. Max looked at Adam with his gentle eyes and wagged his tail lightly. He seemed to know that his time was coming to an end but was at peace, surrounded by the people he loved. Sarah and Michael, noticing that something was happening, joined Adam and Max in the yard. Emily, with tears in her eyes, knelt beside their beloved dog. "Thank you for everything, Max," Sarah said, her voice choked with emotion. "You gave us so much love and brought us Adam. You are our hero forever." Michael petted Max, feeling deep sadness but also gratitude for all the years of unconditional love. "We love you, Max. You will always be part of our family." With the family gathered around him, Max closed his eyes for the last time, passing away peacefully, knowing he had fulfilled his mission of love and protection. Max's loss was deeply felt by everyone. They decided to create a memorial in honor of their faithful companion. In the yard where Max loved to lie in the sun, they placed a plaque that read, "Max, the four-legged hero, forever in our hearts." The memorial became a special place where the Johnson family could remember Max and celebrate the life he had lived. They often gathered there, sharing stories and memories of the beloved dog who had changed their lives forever. Adam, especially, never forgot what Max meant to him. Whenever someone asked about his story, he proudly told how Max found him and brought him to his family. Chance, the new puppy, grew up and became a loyal companion to Adam and Emily, following in Max's footsteps. He brought joy and new adventures to the family, but Max's legacy always remained present. Max's story became a local legend, told and retold at family gatherings and community events. It inspired many to adopt stray animals and value the loyalty and unconditional love of dogs. The Johnson family continued to live their lives with gratitude, always remembering the miracle that Max had brought into their lives. And so, the story of a stray dog who found a baby in the trash and brought a new beginning for everyone became a symbol of hope and love for the community and beyond. Max may have passed away, but his spirit and legacy of bravery and love would live on forever in the hearts of those he touched. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and check out our next story.